Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, I have 5 burning Raiders questions entering their Week 2 game up against the Buffalo Bills. The way that I'm thinking about this is I obviously am on social media. I see a lot of top trending topics out there, and I've had a lot of people ask me questions over and over and over again. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go through the 5 burning questions. I'll give you my answer, and at the very end of the show, if I forgot anything, you can let me know what you're thinking. The first burning question going into Week 2 up against Buffalo: will Jakobi Meyers play Week 2 against the Bills? The answer is I hope so. I would give this one right now a coin flip chance, and any time you talk about injuries, you never know what's going to happen. And then when you talk about the concussion protocol in the NFL, that's where these waters get a little bit more murky. I know a lot of fans want to see Jakobi out there because not only was he great during our Madden Sims, he was also great on Sunday up against the Denver Broncos when he saw 10 targets, brought in 9 of those for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was the Raiders' best player on the field from the offensive side of the football, which says a lot because of how talented that team is. It was Jimmy G's go-to guy in a lot of big-time situations, and he showed up clutch in the red zone. He is in the concussion protocol. He did leave that fourth quarter game. I was told by a source late in that fourth quarter, and I said it live yesterday, that he looks to be okay, but you never know with the concussion protocol. I do really hope that you're going to see Jakobi Meyers out there on the field. And you know what? Let's show him some love here down in the comments section. Spam number 16 to show Jakobi some love. I can guarantee you this. If you want a player to have your fan base's back, doing little shit like this can go a very, very long way. I don't know if Jakobi ever searches his name on social media. He doesn't take me as that player. But if he does come across this show, I want to see him being like, holy shit, this team's got my back. Spam 16 to show some love to Jakobi Meyers. Let's go to my second burning question here on the Raiders Report. Are the Raiders going to use Hunter Renfrow and Trey Tucker in Week 2? Trey Tucker, the Raiders' third-round rookie out of Cincinnati, who they traded that pick to get Darren Waller, was a healthy scratch. The amount of pre-snap reads, the amount that we heard that the Raiders are going to use Tucker in pre-snap motion, this and that, the speed that he brings, the acceleration, for him not even to play, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. For all of our rookies to be inactive, that rubs me a wrong way a little bit. And then for Hunter Renfrow, who saw 13 snaps, he's making $13 million this season. If you can't figure out how to put Hunter Renfrow in the game, you should have figured out a way to trade him away. That way we could have saved that $11.6 million that we would have got, and we could have invested that money maybe to a defensive tackle that we clearly still need on this team. I love Hunter, but for Hunter Renfrow to get 13 snaps and Christian Wilkerson to get 13 snaps, I think what Christian Wilkerson has done is phenomenal. I think he's a great story. He should not be getting the same amount of snaps as Hunter Renfrow. When asked about it, Josh McDaniels kind of said, well, it's kind of how the game plan went out. It's not true. If you want to get a player involved, you can get that player involved. And sure, if Jakobi Meyers is unable to go this upcoming week, I would imagine you're going to see more out of Hunter Renfrow. But considering the fact of the year that Renfrow had last season and then the early snap totals that you saw early on in this game with Denver, I want to see more of 13 out there on the field up against Buffalo. If anybody's planning on going to the game for the Buffalo Bills and Raiders game, and you're like, wait, I haven't got my tickets yet, luckily for you, we got an awesome new sponsor here. Shout out to Game Time. And if you're looking for last-minute tickets, oh, man, I got a hell of a deal for you. This is an app that I have used in the past, and I think it's crazy how full circle this is. Some of y'all know me a little bit better that follow me on social media. Recently, I bought my fiance Alex her dad. It was his birthday all the way back, August 26th. Raiders-Cowboys preseason tickets, and I waited till the last minute because that's what I do, and I got an awesome deal on Game Time, and you guys can do it as well. $20 off with code RaidersChat. All you have to do is create an account and redeem code RaidersChat for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, low price guaranteed. Forget about planning months in advance. If you're a last-minute type of dude like I am, I think Game Time is an absolute game changer. You can get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, all that type of good stuff. And for a city like Las Vegas that has so much to offer, Game Time's the perfect app. Like when I go to Las Vegas, I don't like to overcommit to anything. I'll show up. I already paid a lot of money for my flight. You're going to be paying a lot of money for your hotel. So if I just show up to Las Vegas, go on Game Time, and I'm like, all right, well, let's see what type of concerts are going on. Well, let's see what type of shows are going on. What type of sporting events are going on. Like, you can do all of that and get tickets at a fraction of a cost. On top of that, when you use an app for a long time, like I remember when I first moved down here to Dallas, I'm in a new city, you're trying to explore a little bit, and now having them as a sponsor, it's a full 360. It shows how far this show has come, and it shows how much sponsors love the nation. So if you guys want to show our sponsor a little bit of love and also show some love to me, make sure you download the Game Time app and use code RaidersChat to get $20 off. Awesome deal out there. So one more time here. Download the Game Time app, create an app, and use code RaidersChat for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and receive code RaidersChat for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, low prices guaranteed. Let's go to my third burning question here on the Raiders Report. Is Josh Jacobs rusty from missing the entire offseason? I do think that he looked a little bit rusty, and that's sort of to be expected. It's not because I don't think Jacobs is an incredible running back. It's when you're at this height, the NFL, where all these guys are incredible athletes, and you're not at minicamp, you're not at OTAs. There's a difference between being in football shape. And Jacobs did look a little bit slower, and he even admitted it after the game that, yeah, maybe I am a little bit rusty. He had 19 carries for 48 yards and 2.5 yards per carry. But I do want to pump the brakes here a little bit on this narrative that Josh is out of shape, Josh is fat. Like, I have seen all that stuff on social media. You got to show out to what Denver did, because what Denver did is they stacked the box against Jimmy Garoppolo. And newsflash, I know a lot of y'all drafted Josh Jacobs in your fantasy league. Right here, I was one of them. This is what defenses are going to do. They are going to stack the box, and they're going to say, you're not beating us with Josh Jacobs. We're going to make you throw the ball down the field with Jimmy Garoppolo. And if the Raiders don't learn that we need to stretch the ball down the field a little bit, I could see them having some problems moving it from time to time. But then also for Denver, think about what Jacobs has done to that team. And 7 games, 7 career games up against the Broncos. Josh Jacobs going into that game, 721 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns. Denver said, that guy ain't beating me. Remember basketball? Any of y'all play basketball with the best player? You do a box and one? They essentially did a box and one on Josh Jacobs. They said, he's not beating me. So I will pump the brakes on the panic meter. Jacobs is going to be fine. This offense is going to be fine. But teams are going to stack the box more, which will open up more for the receivers. Let's go to question number 4. Will Chandler Jones play this week up against the Buffalo Bills? I have no idea. Nobody knows. And what's crazy is McDaniels was asked, and he said it's in-house. They're going to keep it in-house. I said it before last week. I don't even think the question is Chandler Jones going to play this week? Is Chandler Jones going to play at all this season? Like, I hope that he gets the help that he needs, because he's clearly not in a great state of mind. I'm not sitting up here saying that maybe he doesn't have things that he needs to talk about, or maybe the Raiders did something to him. I'm just saying the answer is never to air out your dirty laundry with your owner of the team, Mark Davis, head coach, general manager. The answer is to never air out that dirty laundry on social media. And then he's dropping all sorts of slurs on Twitter. Like, you don't say the things that Chandler Jones has been saying if you were in the right state of mind. Like, you don't throw out racial slurs the way that he's been throwing them out on social media if you're in a good place. And I do think that needs to be brought to the attention. Until Chandler Jones can get his shit together, he's not going to be out there on the football field. This has been going on for quite some time. But he also needs to be able to look in the mirror, needs to be an adult, and needs to take accountability. I'm not saying it's 100% on Chandler Jones, but he does deserve some blame for some of this shit that is happening to him. And if he doesn't think that he is responsible, well, then there might even be a lot bigger of an issue there. We still got one more burning question to get to here on the Raiders Report, but if you don't know our programming schedule, we're going to be live every single Monday and Tuesday during the regular season, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, so set your calendar reminder. We're also going to be live for every Thursday night football game. This week, Vikings, Eagles, it's going to be a good one. And then obviously when the Raiders play, we'll be live as well. This week, it's an early one. So make sure you're up bright and early for when the Raiders and Bills play. We'll probably get that tailgate party started 10:30, 11 Central Time, an hour and a half before kickoff. It's going to be a good time here, but this is our programming schedule this week on the Raiders Report. The final burning question, it's got to be this one. Are the Raiders contenders or pretenders with Jimmy Garoppolo? Watching that game Sunday, there were many times in that game where you're watching and you're like, oh, wow, like that first drive by the Raiders, sure, it was an onside kick, but they went right down the field, scored a touchdown. Following drive, they didn't convert, but still went right down the field, scored a field goal. And then it was like 2 quarters of nothingness. But when it mattered the most, the Raiders went down the field, scored a touchdown, made it 17-16, and then got the ball back, had a 5-minute-plus drive, and it's the first time since 2000 that the Raiders had a drive over 5 minutes in a one-score game where they ended up closing it out. Think about that stat for a while. That's what Jimmy Garoppolo and this offense is going to be able to do. They're going to kill you slowly, and that's what Jimmy G did, and that's what the Raiders did. To me, this team with Jimmy Garoppolo, they are contenders. They're not pretenders. There is way too much talent on this Raiders team, top to bottom, and we're not even talking about the defense. The defense gave up 16 points. Sure, it's the Denver Broncos, but Sean Payton's supposed to be one of the best offensive minds on the planet. Russell Wilson, before he came to Denver, was supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks on the planet. The Raiders defense stepped up and didn't bring their A game, but they still came away with a win. So with Jimmy Garoppolo at the realm, I do think this team is a contender. I believe that they are a 9-win, 8-win team, and if they get lucky like they did yesterday and they get a few lucky bounces, they can win 10-11. That's my belief in this Raiders team. So how about this? I see right now in our live poll, over 2,200 people have already voted on this question, but I want to know from all of you that maybe didn't watch this live, how many games will the Raiders win this upcoming season? My initial prediction was that the Las Vegas Raiders, I forget if I said they were going to win 8 or 9 games, but that's where I was sitting. After one game, Raiders are 1-0. Where do you sit now? How many games will the Silver and Black win this season? Before I leave you all, here one more time are my 5 burning questions, and if you enjoyed this segment, I'm going to do it again next week to make sure that you never miss anything going on around the Silver and Black. You're good. You can roll through them. To make sure you never miss anything around the Silver and Black, I need y'all to hit that subscribe button. You got to turn on those notifications. That way when we drop a video, you don't miss it. If any news or updates, like breaking news, like Chandler Jones is going to be playing with this team again, or they're just going to get rid of him, we'll be live for that as well. We are the #1 most watched Raiders channel in the entire world because of the fan base that we have been able to create, and that's due to the larger respect to how crazy and insane Raider fans are and how I feel like, man, we're so much alike, it's insane to me. So if you haven't, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and be ready to party with the Raiders Report all season long.